Hello and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast. It is a great Wednesday evening here in Central Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from. And joining me in the co-hosting spot just shortly is the audacious, the vivacious, and the loquacious Holly Phillippe. But she'll be joining us in just a second. She's just getting set up as we speak right here, right now. And so you'll have me for the early portion of the show. And, of course, we're going to give you updates on the Imaginarium Convention because the Star Chamber Show, of course, is the official podcast of the Imaginarium Convention. We like to keep you up to date on all the kind of good stuff that's going on with everything going on as we move into our new home at the Crown Plaza. So hope all of you all are having a great night. We have a fantastic guest coming up for you just shortly in our second segment after we show you. We're actually, we do show you now because we are more of a visual podcast now, but we will be getting you, the folks that brought you tonight's show, recognized, then we'll bring you on tonight's guests. So tonight, we want to definitely go over the latest updates, and there are more than a few. And so we've got, first of all, of course, last week we announced the amazing Anne Vandermeer is our first announced guest of honor. And that was a big, big announcement. You know, she's won the Hugo Award, the British Fantasy Award, the World Fantasy Award, and Locus Award. I can just go on and on. Just an absolutely fantastic guest of honor to have. And but we've got a lot of good stuff to bring up to date on tonight. We've got Diane Mills will be returning as a spotlighted guest. She has won a slew of major awards and is also a multi-award-winning best-selling author. Then we also announced that Rose Betancourt, literary agent Rose Betancourt, will be returning as a spotlighted guest. And she is the principal agent of Betancourt Literary. And she was a great guest last year. And we definitely anticipate having pitches again, a pitch session for Rose. All that good stuff. So you can look forward to that. And then we also announced as a panelist for the first time to Imaginarium, we have artist, bookstore owner, and podcaster Lindsay Schultz, and she is awesome from the Spine Bookshop down in Smyrna, Tennessee, and she's definitely awesome. We're going to get her on the show here too, but she is a banned book activist, and that's something she's very passionate about. And we have had her on the show before in the past. You can look forward to us bringing her on again. And of course, the one behind the tattooed authors of Southern Appalachia, one of the founders, the man himself, KB Carlisle, author and filmmaker. And yes, he is a filmmaker now. They started doing this really cool web series that started dropping last week. And it's really cool. Logan Stovall and Michael LaVoice and Jesse James Fain. And it was such a cool thing. So yeah, KB is actually a filmmaker now too. So that was fun to add that to his list. Then we also announced that international best-selling author and lecturer Dacre Stoker will be returning as a spotlighted guest. He's just goes without saying, he's definitely an Imaginarium favorite, and of course he's the great grandnephew of Bram Stoker, and so definitely all you folks that are into vampire fiction, you can't do much better than that. So, and then on the theme of vampire fiction, we also announced our first Imaginator guest, number one New York Times and number one USA Today best-selling award-winning author PC Cast. Yes, the one and only PC Cast, the House of Night series, and also known for her Goddess Summoning and Partholon series. And she sold over 30 million books. And of course, the House of Night series is currently being it's on the path to being released as theatrical feature films. So this is a really, really great time to bring PC to Imaginarium to talk about she is also a great teacher too, so you're going to not want to miss her workshops. Then we also have author, podcaster, and publicist Dan Klefstad, the man himself behind Vamp Chat with Dan and Eva, and along with Eva Vertrice. They are going to be we'll have an announcement about Eva very shortly. So don't worry, we'll have both of them there. But yes, he has a new book, Sins of the Sire, in his Fiona Guardian series, and of course he's also a publicist as well. And then we also announced spotlighted guest, author, psychic medium, and paranormal expert Andrea Saint Amand, and she, definitely comes very highly touted by Dacre Stoker, and we're looking forward to having her aboard. And she has a memoir called Ghost Light. It's a book about her experiences and everything along her path, and really looking forward to having Andrea join us for the first time next summer. And then we also had today, later in the day, and we're glad he's feeling better. He had a little stint in the hospital, but reporting that things are looking very favorable. And it's of course the one and only Michael Nost, who is returning as Toastmaster. So we're celebrating. We're going to raise a toast to his good health tonight. And of course, he recently won a Will Rogers Medallion Award for his Western short story Come Necessary, which is published in the anthology 4 Guns and 16 Trails by Lawless Trails Press. So he just won a major award for one of his short stories, and he'll be coming to Imaginarium. So really excited about having Michael with us, and it's gonna be fantastic. And that kind of brings you all up to date on all things as far as Imaginarium. Then I think we may. There's a chance. Don't hold me to it, but there's a chance that tomorrow we will have the Imagine Award nominations open up. So they're either going to open up tomorrow or Friday, but I think there's a good chance that they will open up tomorrow. And so be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, don't forget that right now is that early bird discount window for everything from event tickets, and that includes single-day event tickets. And we also have expo spaces and additional vendor badges. Both of those things are on early discount, and also the awards banquet dinner tickets. So, we have even more stuff on early discount than we did last year. And there's only a few more weeks to go on that. A little bit past mid-September, that period will be coming to a close. We do that every year for the folks that come yearly, so they can get some good savings on Imaginarium. So don't miss out on those. And if you're buying some holiday gifts or anything like that, this is a good time to do it, because you can get everything on discount. And of course, you can get buy a friend a ticket or something like that, and send them to Imaginarium 2027 at the Crown Plaza. So we're really, really excited about that. So that brings you all up to date. I'm just checking to see right now if Holly is in the room just yet, because I know she might want to make a comment or two, but doesn't look like she is quite there yet. So we're going to move forward with things. So tonight, the two folks that are bringing you tonight's show, or I should say there's more than two folks bringing you tonight's show, because one is Per Bostet Publications. That's Sarah Marion Allen, and Teely Harrison, of course, the wonderful, the amazing Sandy Lender of Sandy Says Read BookTube channel. So here's a little bit from Sandy first.
Did you know that fantasy author Sandy Lender offers more than epic fantasy novels for your escapist tendencies? Oh, my friends, Sandy's imagination can take you to all kinds of crazy or satirically vampiric or horrifying places. She even has soothing poetry to ease you through periods of grief. Visit AuthorSandyLender.com to choose the exact adventure you need today.
And thank you very much, Sandy, for your steadfast support. And please subscribe to her YouTube channel and tell her you've heard about her on the Star Chamber show. Definitely tell her that. And so now we'll give you a little bit about Per Bostet with a few new titles of theirs. For books outside the box, read a new release from Per Bostet Publications. Grab a copy of Pursuit of the Jade Empress, the latest David Blaze mystery by M.B. Dabney, or space comedy Force of Habit by Marian Allen, or check out Teely Harris's latest ancient Egyptian mystery, Lies in the Place of Truth, or Janie Franz's Paradise, the second book of the Granny Woman Tales. There are plenty more stories where those came from. Per Bostet, where timeless tales unfold. And yes, again, thank you to Sarah Marion, Teely Harris, and Marian Allen, the literary triumvirate. So now it's time to bring on our guest of the night. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. We wanted to make sure that we were up and running with the platform before bringing him aboard, as now we of course are streaming from StreamYard, and of course being carried on Star Chamber Show and Imaginarium Facebook pages, and then the Imaginarium Convention's new YouTube channel. And subscribe to that if you get a chance. But joining us tonight, he is a fantastic storyteller whose work spans fantasy, horror, suspense, and literary fiction. He's also the founder of Right Crowd Publishing and the author of numerous novels and collections, including The Witches of Grey Folk, Shadow Plays, All That Waits in the Night, and The Crimson Cabin. And he is known for memorable characters with imaginative worlds and emotional depth, and his stories explore themes of hope, redemption, courage, and the choices that define us. He is definitely someone I can say is an Imaginarium favorite, and we love having him at the convention. So it is my honor and pleasure to bring forth to you tonight the one and the only J. Patrick Lemarr. And there you are. Hey. I've got you on there.
Well, it's good to be here for sure.
Well, see, I didn't mess up bringing you into the show, so I'm doing well so far.
Good. Well, I can see.
Holly's having a little tech problem.
Comments, but I can't comment back. So, hello, everyone in the comments.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, Holly. That's usually Holly's thing is checking all the comments out, making sure that that she gets to highlight a few of them while I do the other part of it. So I know she's adjusting on having a little tech issue out there, but she'll be joining us just in a moment or two. So and awesome. You get to actually see her. I'm still not in a good spot yet where it will look presentable enough for the audience. So I will get there. I will get there. I will get a little set up where I can go full video here pretty shortly here. But as long as you can hear me, that's the main thing.
I can hear you just fine. Yeah.
Good. So how have you been doing?
Boy, I tell you, I went from having no day job to having two, and I've been burning the candle at both ends. But if I can do a shout out, I want to shout out both of my places of employment because I work.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that right away.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. So from the ground up books and resources in LaGrange, I'm normally at the LaGrange location. There's a Shepherdsville location as well. Lynn and the crew there just have been so kind to me, so good to me, and I'm just having a blast working there, and it's been a really cool experience. And then I work for Christian Brothers Automotive here in my town. They actually offered me the job, and I work with some really cool people there. And what I love about both of those businesses is that they're not just there to be a business. They care about their community, and they're trying to provide a good service to the people in their community. And, I've only got so much time on this planet. So if I'm gonna give some of my time to somebody, I'd like for it to count for something good. And I really like both of those businesses, and I'm proud to be part of both of them. So,
yeah, I was very excited to hear about the new position from the Ground Up Books because I think the world of Lynn, and of course two really excellent indie bookstores under that banner.
Yeah,
and of course
Lynn and everybody who works with her, just amazing folks. A really different crew of people. We all have different backgrounds, different things that we're into. And yet we all just vibe really well together, and it's been a whole lot of fun to get to know everybody and to be a part of that. So,
yeah, and there's a lot under that umbrella too, because I know they they broadcast out of there. They have the Pen Crafters Mentorship Program, which I'm honored to be a part of. They've got, all kinds of stuff, and and I haven't gotten to fully experience yet, but I guess the tea thing was quite an undertaking. Yeah.
We've got. Lots of people in there all the time for tea and scones and the full 3-tier tray tea experience. And it's awesome. If you haven't been, it's worth it. Just take a friend, go have the experience just to say you did it. It's a lot of fun. And from what I hear, I've sampled some of the food, so I know what I've had is great, but we've had great response to that too. So.
Yeah. There's a lot going on there. And I do love the new location. That the Shelbyville location, Shepherdsville.
Yeah.
I'll get it straight. I will. I've been there. I've even done a book signing there.
It's a cool place. That new location for sure.
Yeah, I think I have Shelbyville in the brain because Holly's currently in rehearsals for a new film project, and getting her lines down, and
awesome.
And it involves some filmmakers there. So, but Shepherdsville, definitely, and I love the layout of the place, and I had a good time there, and that was when like I said, we had, well, I don't have to repeat it all, but yeah, we had quite the early half of the year, and so I was just able to. Holly has not been there yet. I was able to make it there with the help of two of the young ones, Bentley and Addison. But
I was trying really hard to be there when you were there because I wanted to hang out, but it didn't work out. I had to hold down the fort in LaGrange when you were there.
So. Well, I'm just going to have to come see you in LaGrange because because every time I think of LaGrange, I think of the ZZ Top song,
of course, yeah,
and that's. I've got to find a way to do some TikTok videos or something like that using LaGrange to promote it whenever I go back there.
Yeah.
But,
well, plus we've got Ghosts, and we've got the train that comes right in front of the store. LaGrange is happening spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bring Holly on here, see if we at least got audio from her. But I've seen she's okay. Hold on, I think we got Holly. Maybe we might have Holly. I think I see Holly.
I see her.
Now,
Holly, are you there?
Hi, Holly.
hello.
Oh no, we're.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we could hear you a little bit. Yeah, you might want to crank it up a little bit on your audio control. We're getting you
lagging a little.
You might be lagging a little bit, but we're getting you good, like a good stop motion animation or something like that.
It's an art form of its own, really.
It is. I'm going to have to go over to my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, you look great, but
it is good to see you for sure.
Well, she'll be back. All right, I'll take you down. Hold on. There you go. You got a brief look at Holly, but at least it proves I wasn't lying. She is there. She is there. But,
I was telling Holly before the show that the one time I really got to see her at Imaginarium, she was on her way somewhere else to fix, something or to get somebody where they needed to go. And I was kind of in her way. And I said, I just wanted to get a quick hug. And she goes, well, it better be quick, baby, because I got to go.
Well, at least you got that. She almost ran me over in her scooter, because like I said, obviously she had the surgery right before the Imaginarium. Sure. And so, she was using a motor scooter and my treatment wasn't, no hug. She nearly ran me over flat. But I'm glad that thing had a beep thing on it. It had like a little warning audio thing on it.
Yeah.
Because she drove that like she drives a vehicle, very aggressively. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, to
be fair, I never assume that I'm going to Imaginarium to get to see you or Holly because I know you're going to be crazy busy those days. So.
Yeah, it's a little. I actually got down on the floor for the first time ever on Friday. I'm just about. On Fridays usually I am stuck troubleshooting things or helping with backup stuff behind the scenes, and I actually did make it down to the floor Friday afternoon to say hi to people and stuff, and I was just like in half shock,
Well, and I got to see you because I tried to drop off books for you, and they told me where to find you, and so I just tracked you down and brought you books.
And at the Crown, it'll be pretty easy because you'll see when we get. I'll show you the layout and everything, but it'll be a breeze as far as where I am, But it's awesome. It's a nice setup. I feel spoiled this year with all the bells and whistles we have to work with. So
I'm excited.
Yeah. So people will be able to get those cool custom J. Patrick Lemarr stickers, next year in a pristine venue. It'll be fun. Yeah, because I still got mine, from you, that one collectible sticker. That is awesome. But tonight, definitely, we're talking about, of course, I wanted to congratulate you on the new bookstores, plural position. But tonight, I definitely want to talk to you about this trilogy, in fact, because last time you were on the show, we weren't able to explore it too much.
Right.
So... And I think we may have Holly. Hold on just a second. There she is.
Holly.
There you are.
There you are. I got you.
I am here. Yes, I have failed attempt again trying to use this on the computer. So I don't know. I've tried my laptop and my Chromebook. So I'm back on my phone.
We're going to have to get a dedicated laptop just for this, just for you.
I think. Yes, I have no idea. But I'm here. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Good to
Yeah,
see you.
you
And
were
I'm
just
not running around in a scooter.
Yeah.
well, I did tell
Right?
him that you almost ran me over during Imaginarium, but yeah, that is that is a bit of good news. Holly has been given the full bill of health as of today back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I'm
awesome.
allowed to go swimming. Finally.
Yep.
That's
Showers and
great.
all I mean, because you had to be
Yeah.
real cautious with doing showers and all kinds of restrictions.
Ah,
Yeah, it's been
awesome.
rough. She just got the boot off like what 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So yeah, so now she's kind of officially back.
So now when you threaten to give somebody the boot, it's more metaphorical.
True. True.
But there
Yes.
we went over because of course he just got the cool assistant manager position at both
Yes.
locations from the Ground Up Book. So we were talking about that just to catch you up, Holly, and then we were just about to kind of launch into this discussion of his trilogy that we didn't
Yes.
get to talk about last time because
No,
it
we
was
did not.
it was kind of cloaked in secrecy at that point.
It's so funny, and everybody who is involved in publishing knows this, that you have plans and you have dates in mind, and you have, when I gave that to you to edit for me, Stephen, I assumed that it would be out by a certain time, and then I got everything back from you, and then it took me time to work on it more, and then so by the time it rolled around to actually release this thing, I was like, you know what? I'm not waiting anymore. They're all going to come out this summer. I'm not gonna make anybody wait. If they like the first one, they can get the second one a month later. Like, we're just gonna roll this thing out. So it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And one of the great things about it for me was getting to work with you, Stephen, because it was our first chance to work together.
Yeah,
And so it was really sweet to have you on editing for that, because it was kind of a different project. I had
Yeah.
written those things, the book 1 and 2 I'd written a long time ago, and I just needed to kind of bring them up to speed. So I was trying to at least connect the dots to who I am now and how I write now, and you were so good with me to help me catch things and to make it as good as we could make it, and I really appreciate that.
Well, see, this
well,
is the prime example of the importance of the author-editor relationship. Because if you have an editor that is trying to steamroll you and take over your work and
change your
put it
voice. Yeah,
and change the voice and put it in their
Yeah.
voice and all this, and you're going back and forth to argue, it's hard. It destroys your love of the project. It deflates you. But when you got somebody that's willing to work with you, maintain your voice, be with there supporting you every step of the way, it makes a huge difference. And it shows. It shows in the final manuscript.
Yeah, it was a really sweet thing to be able to work with you on this, just because I'd come to admire you so much before we got to work on
Oh,
this. So having you on board was really a lot of fun for me on my end of that, and to get to see your notes, and when you understood like references I was making that I wasn't sure anybody would understand, those kinds
that's
of
always
things.
helpful.
Yeah.
yep. Well, that's when your your editor's actually doing the job and actually
They're
Yeah.
actually
reading
Yeah,
things
they're
line by
actually-
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look up stuff. I mean, if I've been editing books, and
Yeah.
they'll mention a particular album or a movie, and I'm like, okay, I gotta look this up because I want to know. I want to know,
Yeah.
so when I go further, I've got that in my head, what their
Yeah.
picture is, where they're going with this. So yeah, it always
Yeah,
helps.
I didn't have to look up albums and movies in this one.
No, you
so
have
much
that,
because this was this was
especially albums.
and this one just it is this well done fantasy tale. It is just really good, and that's at my foundation. As a
Yeah.
reader,
That's Steve's.
as a child. That
Yeah.
was my first genre that really caught me and made
Yeah.
me even want to be a writer. Was fantasy. So so this hits all the notes on that, and the fact that it does have this positive undercurrent to the deeper, themes that are within it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I love because my roots are C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and so there's always a kind of a hope message and redemption messages,
Yeah.
things like that, and that's one thing I personally loved about this, and I'm gonna be really fancy right now and see if I can do this without messing up, but let's see. Oh, look at that! See,
Oh man, we spare no expense now.
no expense on this
That's
show.
right.
We are showing off book
Wow.
covers. There it is.
Isn't she lovely?
Isn't she lovely?
And
There you
watch
go.
this. I'm gonna impress you all right now, and I'm gonna be able to bring on book 2.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a look at this cover, and we could even if you want to
that
get some
image
That's
is-
comments.
cool.
Yeah, I
That
love
image is from a very particular moment in that book, and I was so happy to get it just right. And sometimes when you're working with somebody, especially if you're going through like Fiverr or something, it's really hard to get things dialed in and to get somebody that kind of gets what you're after,
Mhm.
And so it was
Yeah,
really cool
actually
because
gets it.
yeah, because the first one I had found years earlier, for book 1, I had found that image on bookcoverzone.com, and I bought it and just set it aside. Like, I'm going to use this when we get this stuff done. But I couldn't do that when it came to book 2. So it was really cool to find somebody that could kind of look at the first one and say, okay, now kind of match the style and kind of, here's the scene. I sent the whole scene, here's the scene, and it was a lot of fun. So,
And
I think sometimes if you're not in the business, sometimes people don't understand all the work that goes into getting something out, from, interior formatting to cover design to, Steven's part is the editing and it's a lot of hands on a project to get it.
Oh, it is, and it makes all the difference in the world. And I'll comment on that in just a second. But I do want to bring up your third book too. And
Yeah.
so people can
That's
look at the
cool.
third in the trilogy.
That is a really cool
I mean,
cover.
they all
I like
fit.
that a lot.
Yeah, and look, and as
Like that a
you've
lot.
seen them, I mean, they fit so well together.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3
And-
books.
Yeah, and Steven has the insider information. He understands those images probably more than most people would if they
That's
haven't read
true.
the book yet.
That's true, but it is there are like I said, whenever I pick up a book by somebody, I'm looking in and trying to see little things like some people might consider it wonky, but like looking at the line spacing, the gutters, the the size of fonts, the all that stuff, and then of course the cover design and everything. I mean, yeah, because all those pieces come together to make a good reader experience, and these are the real deal. I mean, all throughout. I mean,
Yeah,
they are.
I'm super
Yeah.
proud of them, but like I said, years of work went into it. So I was just part of it was just being happy to get it done and to give it to people and be done with it on my side. It eats up a lot of your creative space trying to get these things out the door, and so it was really nice to be able to say the end and push them out for the world. So
Yeah, it's a beautiful set though, and yeah, how about that? Look at that. We actually showed off book covers tonight. We're taking
yeah,
strides.
so professional.
Yeah, we're getting there. I said everybody, we're gonna have more bells and whistles as we go.
Yeah, we're figuring it out, and
Sure.
I just can't wait till I can figure out how to do this on the computer. It's boggling my mind, but I will get it figured out.
Yeah,
Well, Stephen, you brought up hope and its
Yep.
place in this series, and I
Yeah,
I love dystopian fiction as much as anybody. Like, there's some great stuff out there, but I think for me, especially at the time that I was writing those first 2, but even more so by the time I wrote book 3 years later, I just the world's hard enough sometimes.
Yeah.
And I believe in hope and grace and compassion and forgiveness and mercy, and those are things that I feel like sometimes are absent from stories these days. And so I know they're out there for sure, but it's just where because those things are important to me and close to my heart, I can't write and not have those be a part of what I'm doing. So it's not really like I've got to write this sweet feel good thing. It's not that. Bad things happen. Characters face adversity and loss and those things, but at the end of the day, I want to focus on the things that make us better, and hope that
people need that. They need that escape. People are craving that now. It gives them escape from the real world and lets them enjoy, something that's not bad. There ain't a whole lot of bad stuff,
and
there's
hopefully,
adversity and different things, but there's hope and,
and
resilience.
hopefully if they find, something good in it, then they carry it past where the book ends, right? Like, my hope is that if somebody gets to know these characters and appreciates the impact that mercy or hope or grace has, or forgiveness or redemption or whatever, that they carry those things with them past the page and into the real world, and then maybe the world can be a little bit better, at least in their, in those small ways. So,
right,
absolutely, and the characters you have, I mean, are really, really interesting. I think Dylan Dark is a really intriguing character. Of course, I love the great library and the author, and we'll get into that. Definitely want to have you comment on that. Captain Eastland and Azael, and I mean, you have such a cool kind of ensemble in this as well, and I think that's what really motors through this trilogy, is that you do have some really characters you can connect with.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
But I figured, which character would you like to start with as far as introducing some of them? Because you got such a good group there.
Well, I always, so Dylan, and then Dylan Drake, and then Dark and Azael, or Azael the Sly, I guess as he's called a lot in the fiction. But those three characters are kind of what I think of as the continuum of me. So they're on this, philosophical or spiritual continuum of, I think of Dylan Drake is a young man that's full of compassion, and he's always willing to, put somebody else first and to lay his life down if he needs to for somebody else. That's who I want to be. That's who I aspire to be. That's a man that I can look up to. Azael is on the other end of that spectrum. So he's a wizard. I'm not a wizard, but in terms of how I see him, he is everything I would be afraid I could be if left to my own devices. He's selfish. He's self-focused. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. He doesn't care about making anything better for anybody but himself. And he certainly doesn't want anybody interfering with his plans and what he wants. And so I know that, that part of me is there. I'm always fighting against it. And then Dark is kind of somewhere in between them. He is a man who has seen the good and in other people. He's seen what redemption can do, but he's also caught up in his feelings and sort of feels like he's owed something better. And so he struggles against, what he believes and what he feels. And he's torn between those two things. And I think that's probably sometimes where I am most of the time. And so because they're on that continuum, I understand all three of them, and I tend to play with those ideas, and it makes it a lot of fun because they're very different characters from one another. There are times that I really enjoy writing Azael because he's such an ass, and he's
that's always fun.
Yeah. I mean, he does not care. I know it's not a spoiler, but there's a moment I think it's in book 3. There's a moment where he's healing someone's wound because he's just realized that they're bleeding and he hasn't noticed because he's been so caught up in his own thing. And so he casts a spell and heals the wound. And then immediately thereafter says, "There, now you're slightly less useless." So he can't do a good thing without being an ass about it. And I like that, it makes for good comedy. But it's also fun to kind of play because we bounce around his timeline a lot. And so we see him at his worst and we see him as he's sort of struggling to be someone better. So it's fun to get to see him at those different stages. And then we don't get a whole lot of Dylan in this book until book 3, or in this series until book 3.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to give too much of that away, but Dylan's a character I keep coming back to because, like I said, he's the kind of guy I hope to be and try to be.
Yeah, I brought him up because definitely. I mean, he's one that is a part of your storytelling, and not just this trilogy, but
Yeah, kind of the
else.
mythology of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, with Azale, I mean, there is there's definite arcs, character arcs, and and they will end
Yeah.
up in different spots, and the part that we'll get Holly definitely pumped here is of course you have Ed the Raven.
Oh yes.
Yes, Holly. There's a character
Yes.
the Raven in this.
It's funny that you bring up Ed because
Yeah.
working it from the ground up is great because I get to talk to people about books all the time, right? And so release day for all three of these, I was celebrating those at the store, and I had them up front with me so that I could talk to people about them and everything. And so I think it was book 2 was about to come out, and I still had book 1 up by the register, and a little girl came in with her grandmother, and they started talking to me about it. And the grandmother said, "Well, is this okay for her to read?" And she was about 8. And I said, "Well, I didn't write them for that age group, but I mean, content wise, there's nothing objectionable. But is she a good reader?" And she said, "Oh, she's a great reader." I said, "Well, then I think she'd probably do fine with it, And so she bought the book, and she wanted me to sign it for her, and I did. And we took a picture together, and then it was so sweet that I came home and told my wife about it. Like this sweet little girl and her grandmother came in. And so then cut to the day that book 3 is coming out. I, of course, didn't get enough copies of book 3 in for release day. So I only had a handful of them. And so I had 2 with me at the store, and I sold both of them pretty quickly. And then, like, as I'm signing away the last one, and someone bought all 3 books that day. And so I was signing all 3 of them. And while I was packaging those up for them, the little girl came in with her grandmother again. And she had this big grin on her face, ear to ear. And so as soon as I was done with the other customers, I said, "Well, it's so good to see you again." Her grandmother said, "She read your first book in 12 hours, did not put it down, just read it until she was done. And she has pestered me for weeks about bringing her back to the store so she could get book 2. And the little girl said, "I remembered that book 3 was coming out today." And I said, "I'm so sorry. I am out of book 3. I said, "But I tell you what, I'm going to be at the LaGrange Book Fair, and if you'll come see me there, I'll make sure that you get book 3. And if you come see me, I'll give you some extra goodies and stuff." And so she was the first person at my table at the LaGrange Book Fair, brought her mom with her this time, and baby brother was on mom's hip. And it was just the sweetest thing. Like I love any reader, right? I love picking up anybody who's new to the work. But having an 8-year-old so excited.
The young readers, yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
I was beside myself. And it was so cool.
Yep.
And I had my wife with me at that show. So I was like, "This is the girl I was telling you about." She, it was really sweet. It was a really sweet time.
Yeah,
Now,
I could relate.
my Raven, the granddaughter Raven that we have, she's been an avid reader before she could read. She would sit with her little books, when she's just starting to walk, and she'd sit there and turn a page, and she'd jibber jabber, act like she'd read. She never ripped pages. She never did anything. She'd go real easy because I always told her, you respect your books,
Sure.
And she'd bring them to you to read. And that girl, she's 12 now, reads constantly. She reads on
That's
her phone.
awesome.
She reads physical. Yeah, the librarians where they used to live knew her by name. When she'd go to the public library, they's like, "Oh, hi, Raven." Yeah, she absolutely just devours books. So there is a resurgence, and that is a great thing because that's what we want.
Of course.
Get them young readers.
And
hooked.
she told me when she came in that day and couldn't get book 3, she did get book 2. And so I signed it for her.
Yeah.
And I asked her, I said, "So I'm curious, since you read book 1 so fast, who is your favorite character?" And what she said to me is it weird to say Ed the Raven? And I'm like, "No, it's not weird to say." Like, I'm glad you like him. So yeah, I just thought it was funny that Ed would be
that's
somebody's
awesome.
favorite character. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. No, Holly would definitely like that part of it, and the world that it's set in is really fascinating, and you kind of got this place that's I don't know how much you want to reveal about it, but the library and the author And I'll let you tackle that one because it's kind of like I said, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but yeah,
it's kind of the mythology that appears across all of my work.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets mentioned, and sometimes it's a setting, but the idea that every story ever told, including your story and my story, all exist within the Great Library, and that somewhere behind all of that is the author of all of our stories. But they do talk about how I have a hand in writing my story, and you have a hand in writing your story, and so we play a lot with that. It gives me the chance to play with the idea of fate versus free will, and those sorts of classic things, elements. But for me, it also gives me a doorway into stories. And so the fun thing with a character like Dylan Drake is that he can step into a story that's a fantasy story, but he can also step into a sci-fi story or a horror story or whatever kind of story I happen to be telling, because his whole job is to interact with stories. And so he can interact with any story. And it gives me a lot of room to play with genre and not be stuck in one spot. But then also, I never want homework, right? I don't want to be the 18th Marvel movie that somebody has to see to understand what's happening in the things. Right? I love Marvel movies. That's not a dig. It's just, I don't want anybody to pick up a book and go, oh, I got to do homework and figure this thing out. But I do want to reward people who have read more than one thing to be able to look and go, oh, that's the Great Library. That's Ed the Raven appearing again. That's, Dylan Drake. He was in this story and now he's in this story. So that if you've read more than one thing of mine, you're rewarded for coming back. Not homework, but just, getting to know the characters on a deeper level in a through line, through their lives as much as through the stories that they're in. So.
Yeah, and the library to me is kind of feels always like timeless and like you're stepping out of time for a bit, when you're in that part of it. And but I often talk to people about series and about the importance of each title playing its own role with and being complete within itself, but also serving a function for the broader series. Right. So you have a couple different considerations. Now with this one, I mean, each one is distinct, and each of these books. And I know you've mentioned that to me too. So talk about each of the titles and what sets them apart, and also like I said, it does. Of course, they do connect as a trilogy. So they do. So it does both of the things I was talking about there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think too hard about the rules when I'm writing, which may be a good thing and may be a bad thing. I don't know. It may have driven you crazy, Stephen. I don't know.
No, it's a good. It's a good thing. Tell the story. The story. But, plenty of time to refine later.
usually when you're thinking about stories, like I realized as I was getting ready to put these things out that books 1 and 2 have the same basic cast of characters, and then you get to book 3 and it opens somewhere completely different with a complete. And I was like, is that going to throw people off? Like, are they going to wonder what happened in this? But we eventually get back to those characters, but there's a little bit of a left turn in there. But you know what? I thought if they've ridden with me through books 1 and 2, hopefully they'll stick with me and see how we land this plane. But the 3 are very different from each other. They do share some of the same characters and certainly some of the same themes. Book 1 is our introduction to Azael the Sly, a wizard I think he's 15 in that book, if I remember correctly. We start in media res. He's been captured by witches and is not sure what they want from him. And alongside him in the dungeon thing that he finds himself in is a pirate captain, Captain Island. And their sort of comedic duo was a lot of fun to play with in that first story. Azael is really hard to get along with. Captain Island is probably pretty tipsy most of the time.
I loved him. Yeah.
So playing with that and him just being exasperated by this boy that he has to deal with was a lot of fun. And then getting to show that he actually has a conscience under there, and they meet Dark, and of course Azael's response to Dark is nobody tells me what to be and how I should behave. And And Captain Island is like, no, if there are people to save, I'm going to save people. Let's, and we get to play with those dynamics, and it really just acts as an introduction for those characters because I knew I wanted to do more with them, and I wanted to kind of build their relationship some and tease a little bit of the mystery about, how Azael and Dark are connected to each other, why Dark may not like him very much, and
Right.
So that was a lot of fun to just kind of tee up the ball, just set that up. And then book two, I guess I should say in book one at the end, we get a little bit of a jump forward in time where we see adult Azael many years later, and kind of the impact that story that happened when he was a young man still has on him, and how it's affected him, and how it affected Dark too. And there's some warning there about some trouble that may be coming. And then we pick up book two. We're back to him being 15 again, and we get to see what happened immediately after the events of book one. We get to catch up a little bit, but instead of starting there with that, which is what I thought most people would suspect or expect, I started with the Tale of the Winsome Widow, where we meet a brand new character and who is mourning the loss of her husband, and she's having to pick up the pieces of her life, and a stranger kind of rolls in, and she's building a friendship with him based on his help and on the farm, and then some werewolves show up, and the tale takes a turn.
Yes.
And then we find out that it's connected to some of what happened in book one, or at least some of the characters from book one. And then we go back and meet young Azael again, and Captain Island, and Captain Island's daughter Vin. Vin Island is a character who doesn't play a huge role in book two, but she's a character I've written short stories about, and has popped up in other pieces of fiction. She's a romantic foil for Azael, and that's fun to write too. And then we get another jump ahead to. I guess I skipped over the dragon. Should I have skipped over the dragon? I don't remember. But
yes, because I love dragons.
It could be that there's a dragon that plays an important role. He's more of a sea serpent than a dragon, but he's not very happy with our young wizard friend. And then
No.
and then we see Azael in the third story in that book is called The Execution of Azael the Sly, and we get to see Azael being brought to his execution for things he didn't do. After many years of doing terrible things, he just didn't do this thing that they're going to kill him for.
Right.
And we get to see kind of the impact that hope has had on him. And he's been through a lot off panel, a lot off page. And we see that he's weary. He's been through a lot, but he's also made friends, which is not something we would have thought he would do. And he's forged some connections. And so even at the point of death, he's offering mercy to the people that are trying to end him, because offering them mercy would make the world a better place. He's more interested in what happens after this than he is about surviving it. And that's a very different Azael than we see earlier in that very same book. So that's fun. And then book three is just a whole other thing. It's a whole wild ride. Yeah, I don't even know where to start with book three.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like I said, I love you got to hand out some of the antagonists that are involved here for sure, because there is a lot that they are faced with, and a lot of critters, a lot of creatures, and a lot of fun
Leon likes it. He approves.
Just keep him away from Ed the Raven.
I was going to say, yeah, he would like that a little too much, wouldn't you, buddy?
Yeah, you got the show's first cat cameo tonight.
There you go,
Catio.
Yeah, I've got two others with me, but since I'm not on camera, you can't see them just yet. And we'll get that going soon. But
I wonder, Stephen, since we're talking, like, how did you feel when you rolled into book three? Because it starts in a very different place.
Yeah, it jars
a very
you.
Different setup.
but well, I mean, in not a bad way, but it's kind of like, okay, you feel like you're going on a certain kind of continuum heading into book three, and then
Right.
bang, it's a different, yeah, you're up for, but then knowing the flow of the way the first is, things are gonna kind of work back
Yeah.
together at some point. So for me, yeah, that's why I didn't regard that as any kind of problem at all, because I trusted that you were going to bring us back to to a good conclusion. So
Yeah.
so that was no, so it's not a problem, but but it definitely will catch people off guard. That's what I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that's a great thing as a reader, to be surprised,
Mm-hmm.
as long as it pays off, right? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
if I had just gone down that route and never come back to the characters that I've convinced people to care about after 2 books, like that wouldn't sit well with anybody.
Mhm.
But for me, by the time I finished writing that first section with those new characters, I came to care about them as much as I cared about the characters I had written in books 1 and 2. And so it was interesting to play with that dynamic. And maybe those characters, maybe that bit came from how long it had been since I had written books 1 and 2. Just as a different writer, something different spoke to me there. But for me, it was, I would love to be inside people's minds and know what they're thinking when they open that book, and suddenly there's the mystery of this body in a boat, and how did it get here, and why suddenly are we in like the modern day world when we were just in a fantasy book, and why did it take this turn? And it all ties back to the Great Library, and it all calls back to kind of the trouble that's brewing in the Evermore itself, and things that I'll continue to play out and talk about in other books too. But I tell people when I talk about this trilogy that the important thing for me, the reason I was so determined to get it remastered and get it out and get book 3 out, was that it's kind of the hub of the wheel for me, for everything that I'm doing. If you read that trilogy, then you kind of understand what I'm after. And then as you meet those characters in other things, right? Azale pops up in other stories, Dark pops up in other stories, Dylan certainly pops up in other stories. You kind of understand who they are and what they're about. And so you may be seeing them in different situations and facing new doubts and new risks and new things, but you understand the core of everything because you have read that. So that to me was important, because everything kind of spins around that hub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do that really well, because that's something that's a bit of a risk sometimes when you have time jumps and things like that, or you have elements like that in there, and kind of how things are going to fit together. But yeah, I will say for the reader, there's not going to be any trouble, with this one. I mean, at all. And but I mean, with the fantasy element, one thing when you say the word fantasy, I mean that's in these days that's a very broad,
Sure.
category. And people always wonder, okay, well, what kind of magic is there? What are the rules, for the magic, or what is this? What is that? How do you address that? As far as for those, because this is a book that I think I agree with you on. You made this comment to me in a message today, in fact, but this is not a book that will appeal only to fantasy readers. This is a book that will appeal to non-fantasy readers as well.
That was
so
actually that was my favorite compliment that I got about book 1 specifically. Two different people. One person told me, I never thought you'd get me. I never thought I would ever like a fantasy book. Like, fantasy is just not my thing. Mm-hmm. But I read this book and wanted to read more. If there's more fantasy like this, I want to read it. Well, that's everything, right? Like, you want to hear that kind of thing. And then someone else, actually, someone that I run into in LaGrange when I'm working at the store, said, I read book 1 and could not believe how much world building you packed into that tiny, like, it's not a big book. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's like 175 pages, book 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
something like that.
Not a really, really big book. No.
Yeah, it's not a big tome. Right.
Yeah.
He was like, I couldn't believe you packed so much world building into that. And I got it. Like, I was in,
mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, that's good too, because what you don't want to do is confuse anybody. You don't want to, And so to answer your magic question, it doesn't really, like, I have the basic understanding of what's happening, right? So when someone like Azale is using magic, they're tapping into sort of foundational forces. They're tapping into maybe creation itself. And so there's cost to that, and there's, but I don't dwell on that part of it, right? We're on an adventure. We're on a ride. And so that to me, I think, is where it gets people that aren't necessarily sure they're going to like fantasy. It's not epic fantasy. It's not heavy sword and sorcery fantasy. There's nothing wrong with that. I love those things. But it is I mean, there's some scary, creepy stuff that happens in some of those books, but it's a fairly light and breezy adventure story. It's love these characters and take the ride with them is what it really boils down to. And if people, walk away from that saying, like that little girl said, I love Ed the Raven, or, I really think Azale is funny, or I really like Dark and, or Captain Island or whatever character they identify with, that's what you want, But then I get to, through that light and breezy adventure, I get to play with themes that I think matter. Can someone who is as self-focused and seemingly uncaring as Azale, can he be redeemed? Can he learn to care about other people? And, I don't believe that anybody is beyond hope, right? So those are the themes I want to play with. And so then the question becomes, what does it take to get through to someone like him? What does it take to impact someone? And so, we'll eventually get around into some of his story and what makes him the way that he is. But, just on a surface level, when you come to care about people, when people care about you, you can't not change a little bit, right? So I say all the time that the reason the work matters to me, the reason I write the kind of stories that I write, is I do believe my life is a story. And I do believe that your life is a story. And so my story, I think, is better for having a Stephen and a Holly in it. That's how I feel. And so because I believe that, then it matters how I treat Stephen and Holly. And it matters that I listen when they're hurting and I think about them when they're going through stuff, and that I try to help them where I can. And I believe I believe my story is better for having them in it, and I want their story to be better for having me in it. So it can't help but impact you when you see things that way. So that to me is the idea for somebody like Azale. How do you forge these intimate connections with people and not come away changed by it? People care about you despite you being who you are, and you've got to take something away from that. So that's a lot of fun. And like I said, I've played with Azale some in other stories outside of these particular stories, and actually Michael Nost, who we mentioned earlier, and I hope he's doing. I hope he's doing well. Feel better.
He is.
Yes, he did very, very good. He's
glad that he was headed home. But
headed home, and he's and he doesn't have to get a procedure, and good news.
Yeah. So he's done some editing work for me on a what I call a weird Western, right? It's like supernatural, some Western stories and things, and there's some of these characters that you've come to know in this trilogy in that book. Nice. Not always named, not always appearing the way that you would expect them to appear.
Okay, they're in there.
I need to read this. I need to read this now.
So some familiar faces pop up in that, and it's fun to play with them across that kind of continuum. So
yeah, definitely. But for newer writers out there, definitely. In terms of when I talk about good character arcs, make up this trilogy and take notes on how he portrays Azale. Because we're talking about arcs and changes and characters going through things and
development. You got to have the character development. Yeah,
character development. Yes,
that's a biggie.
This is a good character to study.
And I didn't get to have you work on it, but back in February, I put out a novella called The Broom,
Yeah, I remember
And
you
it's
put that out. Yeah.
it's an alternate Civil War timeline. So the war's gone
Oh,
on
neat.
too long. It's lasted many years, that past the point that it actually did.
Mhm,
Families are even in worse shape. So much
Hmm.
death, so much destruction,
mhm.
and one family's just trying to ride it out and just survive and just help whoever they can on either side of the fight. They just want to get through and stay
Right.
together as a family. And Dylan Drake appears in that story.
Cool.
He
That's
comes
cool.
in. He comes in on the night that something is stalking in the fog, feeding off of all the fear and the violence and the
Hmm.
stuff. And he comes in, and it was a really fun story for me to write. One of my favorites, I think, with him in it, because he's normally the stalwart. Like, I trust the plan. I'm here to save
Hmm.
lives. I'm here to help people, and things don't go the way that he thinks they ought to go.
Hmm.
So what do you do when you know, seemingly he's a man of great faith in his mission.
Right.
And when things don't go the way he thinks they ought to go, that shakes him. And it was really fun to play with that dynamic for him. Because it's not that in those moments of doubt that you just suddenly don't believe or trust anymore. It's that, you know, you've been shaken and have to start asking questions you didn't think you'd ever ask. And
To
Right.
and
retain your
that's
faith,
yeah,
to
and
retain,
that's
yeah,
not a
your
bad
belief.
thing, right? Like
Right.
No, not at
and
all.
so it was a lot of fun to play with it. But there's another character in that story who's a native character who doesn't speak any English at all, and because of who Dylan is and how he operates in the story, he understands him, but nobody else around them understands him. And when Dylan sort of has his crisis of faith, it's the native character that speaks to him from his faith perspective, which is completely different from his,
Yeah.
but he's like, you say you trust this plan, but as soon as something countermands it, like, it seems to fall apart. Like, I don't
Mhm.
think that that's faith. That's not what and he gets to have that sort of butting of heads a little bit with another character about, is it faith if it disappears as soon as it gets hard? Or is that
Mhm.
just talk, And so
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing, right? So it was really fun to play with that dynamic because he is, like I said, he's normally the stalwart, like, I'm in, I believe, I trust, I'm all in. And to have him suffer loss and then be shaken by it
Hmm.
was a fun thing for me to play with. And
So,
it ended
so
up
I
being a
can
really fun
imagine
story.
you feel like you're evolving too. I mean, you're on an emotional roller coaster with this character because,
Sure.
yeah, it's like living vicariously through him. So I can just imagine. That's what I was going to ask you. How has it affected you, um, and your faith personally, while writing this character? Is it, like, do you have a deeper connection, or how is it connected with you?
Well, I mean, I think that, as we grow, we deal with all kinds of things that, when we were younger, we didn't imagine we would deal with, losing
Hmm.
parents and facing tragedies and having friends lose children. And, you go through the hardship of life. And it doesn't matter if you're a person of faith or not, you're shaken by those things. You hurt.
Right.
We all hurt, right? It doesn't matter what our background is, what,
Mhm.
if we have a faith, if we don't have a faith, if we, it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum, doesn't matter where you are on any of these things.
We're human.
Pain hurts,
Yeah. Yeah.
and grief affects us all, and the clock is
Yes.
ticking on everybody, right? So we all struggle with some of the same things. So for me, it was important to have Dylan kind of face a little bit of a crisis in that story because, when my folks died, my dad was a pastor. He was a man of great faith, and he had terrible health for like a really long time, his whole life, and watching him go through a journey where he was getting weaker all the time, and they would think he wasn't going to make it, and he would, and still holding on to everything that he believed,
Yeah.
and then losing them both I didn't know where my faith fit into all of that. And
Yeah, it
so
shakes you.
I was angry, you know,
Yes, of course.
I was very frustrated
It's
and angry.
normal.
And so I remember, telling my wife at the time, I said, I'm really angry at God
Yeah.
about all this. And
Yes.
she said, and she was like, you know, okay. And she, like, I felt like she didn't really understand what to do with what I was saying to her. And I said, but it's okay, because I think he can take it. I
Yeah.
think I can be as mad as I can be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And kind of where that landed for me, and whether you think of it as in the spiritual sense or not, the truth that kind of dawned on me was, I can be mad about the loss and I can grieve the loss, but I'm only grieving as hard as I am. I'm only devastated the way that I am because I had something really good. I had two parents who loved me, who sacrificed for me, who stood by me, who, you know, did all, so. And a lot of people don't have that, or they
Right.
only have one parent who is that, or whatever, right? We all have come from different. So I didn't have to have those things. And so for me, it was, I can't really lay this grief and anger and stuff and go, okay, I'm mad at you, God, without going, but it's because you gave me something really good. Like I feel this loss keenly because I was really blessed to have what I have. And
Mm.
so I had to grapple with both of those things, right? They were both true. And so I had to sort of sort that out for myself. And now when I have somebody like Dylan in a story dealing with grief, it's okay to grieve, and it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to doubt. It's okay if there wasn't room for doubt, there wouldn't be room for us. So it's
True.
doubt is not a bad thing. So to have him struggle with that and come through it in his own way and to wrestle with some things, I wanted him to kind of, you know, we see Azael in this story kind of come away changed a time or two and growing, like you said, that character arc. Dylan has that too, except his arc is more away from not blind belief, but away from that sort of unshakable confidence into realizing, no, sometimes life is hard, and it doesn't matter what I believe. It doesn't matter that I trust this thing. It still hurts. It still impacts me. It still leaves me shaken. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing to feel and to hurt and to, you know, it doesn't mean I don't have faith. It just means that, you know, I have to see it differently. I have to, you know, change how I think about things a little bit. So
Your comments make me think of
that's a good
Spanish
comment
monk,
from Moon, by the way.
a Spanish monk named Saint John, known as Saint John of the Cross, with the dark night of the soul, and it's about a phase where you do go through just a big crisis of doubt, and it's really a deep, deep situation that challenges everything, you know, you believe, where you feel like you're as far away removed from connecting with, you know, your faith as you can be, and then coming through that out on the other side, and you know, and coming through that with, you know, a stronger faith. And
Yeah.
so yeah, talking about that just made me think of that, because that brings out a little bit of the historian
you
geek in
mentioned,
me.
yeah, you mentioned when you were making the Imaginarium announcements, you mentioned Diane Mills is going to be back with us, and
Oh yes, love her. I love
I
she was
yeah
fantastic.
She's
I
one
do
of the
too, and
sweetest people.
she is, and I had such she's such a firecracker too. I love her.
She is.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but
fiery Texan. Yes.
yeah, I had the opportunity to sit on a panel with her this past year, and it was really sweet because we were talking about faith and all of that, and
Mhm.
she has such a way of taking whatever it is she's trying to say and just giving you the simplest, most direct sort of response, you know. And I don't remember what the question was that brought it, but I remember her saying, "My job as a storyteller is to tell you, you know, is to tell you a story and include in it things that I believe are true. My job is not to beat you over the head with what I believe or to beat you over the head with the Bible." She goes, as someone who believes, I believe that's God's work and the Holy Spirit. Like, leave that to them. My job is to tell a good story, and in that story to talk about things that I believe are true. That's it. Everything else is up to bigger hands than mine. And I'm like, that's such a great way of looking at that. Like, I'm not looking to proselytize. I'm not looking to convince you to think how I think or to believe what I
Right.
believe. what I am trying to do is maybe give you a way to look at things in it through a different lens than maybe you've looked at them before. And, it's been interesting as people read these books, because some people, when I ask questions, like on a questionnaire to an ARC reader or whatever, it's like some people take things that I see as spiritual themes and see them as philosophical ideas. And some people take things that I think are philosophical, or just somebody wrestling with a common sense problem, and they see a big spiritual concern in it. So it really depends on where you're coming from and what your background is and how you see it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's great about all fiction, is that you approach it through your own lens, and you see what you see in it, and that becomes your connection to it. It doesn't mean it's the same for everybody.
Right.
And that's why I think C.S. Lewis's storytelling is so good, because it does a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I was just reading a snippet. It's been a long time since I've read those the Narnia books, but I was reading a snippet from The Silver Chair the other day.
Yeah.
And it was just like half a page that I saw. And I was like, this is a kid's book. Like, this is deep stuff.
It is. Yeah.
It's in a kid's book.
Yeah.
Try the space trilogy too.
Anybody.
Yeah, try the space trilogy too, has layers, as many layers.
That's the beautiful thing about like YA. That's why it's actually it's my favorite genre, because like if I'm just going to do a quick beach read, or I just need to, my brain is fried and I need to just relax, love YA. Because it takes you on these grand adventures, right? And you don't have to put a lot of thought process, but it takes you on these grand adventures away, and you could do, it's just fun. They're just fun reads, and I love it. And then reading something like you said, the Narnia, it's been a long time, right? So you revisit it as an adult, the ones that you read when you were young, it's a whole different, you've got a whole new meaning. Yeah.
Sure. Yep. You got more XP in the game. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. That you've leveled up, and now you can see through another whole, mindset. And they're incredible. So you're enjoying them all over again.
Yeah. It's funny. When one of the first signings I ever did was at a library in Oklahoma. A friend of mine, I guess, had an in for me and got me in to do a signing. And I wasn't sure what to expect, because I hadn't done one before. And it, like, the whole group, it was a group of readers, like a book club, and it was all older ladies. And they were, I would say the median age was probably 65. And so I went in and I had just put out the original version of book 1 of this trilogy. And I'm like, it's not, I didn't really write it to be YA, but it kind of fits in that space. And like, so, and everybody here is older than I am. And I don't know that they're going to care about any of this. Yeah. I have never had more excitement about, they all.
Oh, I love YA.
And I'm like, that is hilarious to me, because that just would not have made sense to me until I met them. And there was, we read YA all the time. And they were all reading Twilight, and they were all reading this thing and that.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of YA is definitely for everyone. Yeah, no matter what age group you're in. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
That's a good
and
story.
I don't think I ever write with an age group in mind, but I'm also not trying to write the great American novel, right? I don't need it to be so high and lofty that nobody can approach it. I want, like you said earlier, Holly, you want people to escape from reality for a little bit. You want people to be able to escape a little bit of the chaos and nonsense around them, and just, get away for a bit. And so that's really always the goal. I'm never writing for, like having an 8-year-old find your book and really enjoy it. That's amazing. Great, right? It doesn't mean I wrote it for them, but gosh, if she's a good enough reader that she can get something out of it, more power to her.
Yep. True story. I had a 10-year-old come to a signing early in my path of published writing, and he's in the front row at a book signing, and became a lifelong friend. And
That's awesome.
he comes
And
to
that
Imaginarium every year,
10-year-old
and it's
now, young Will
is
runs his table at Imaginarium.
yeah, but I would say now he's writing short stories in the Marathonarium workshop.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Young Will's not so young Will anymore, but he's still young Will to
He's
us.
still young. He's still young.
That's funny.
He's just not that young.
Yeah, but he's been reading Stephen's books since he was 10 years old.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's I love it. Yeah, so I can relate. Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's funny when you do this kind of thing, when you write stories and stuff, the sort of moments that you always hang on to, you know, the things that happen that you're just like, man, I'm never gonna forget that. I was writing a story that it'll eventually be another trilogy of books, but it centers around Azael as a character. And I was writing the first one, and it kind of deals with why he's accused of something he didn't do, and how all of this stuff with the Evermore ends up happening, and all of that. And so I was writing the rough draft of that, and I had like a small group of friends that I was sharing pages with. And I got, I don't know, maybe midway through the book, and one of the characters died, and they messaged me. Were like, "What are you doing? You can't kill that you can't kill that character. Like they're the glue that holds everything together." And I said, "Yeah, but that's how life works.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the people you need are gone."
Yep.
And you have to figure out a way to move on. You got to figure out a way to keep going. And I just remember just the excitement and anxiety about me killing a character made me feel like, oh, I wrote something that they cared about. Like, you know, like it was just one of those.
Yeah, you get that kind of
like,
response.
oh,
yeah,
I didn't
you're
know I could
eliciting
do
an
that.
emotional response. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could turn into a George R. Martin, kill three.
Yeah, and kill them all. That's what I was thinking about. He was like, I was like, yeah, it's Cade Martin. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I put all the books in my trilogy out at one time. I am the anti George R. Martin.
Yeah, he's never going to get his last one written. That's for sure.
It's taken a while, yeah, for sure. But yeah, you can go to extreme on killing characters for sure. Yeah, as far as that. But yeah, I do know what you're saying. Yeah, that's and sometimes it's tough though when you bonded with a character and then have to see him, go.
Sure.
It's tough.
Sure. But
you feel it.
That is
you really do. You feel it.
It's just like real life, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, as we get to this part, the latter part of the show here, I do want to give you a chance to talk about what's coming up for you as far as appearances and anything else you have on the table coming up.
Well, I'm going to be at the Bullitt County Author Fair, so that'll be fun. Which, by the way, just funny story, real quick, and I'll keep it really brief. I mentioned earlier that I did the LaGrange Book Fair. And our good friend, Tony Akery runs that thing. And so
man, that's legend.
So I got set up at the fair and everything, and I was really excited because my wife was going to be with me at the fair, and I don't normally get to have her next to me at those things. And so in my head, I was like, this will be I can introduce her to all these people that I know. And so, of course, I wanted to introduce her to Lynn Tincher because not only is she my boss, but she's a great friend. And so we walked over to her table. We had already finished setting up mine, and we walked over to talk to Lynn, and Lynn was on the phone. And so I said, well, let's give her a minute. And so we waited a bit, and the bathroom doors were directly behind me. And so people were coming in and out behind me and stuff. And we waited for a bit, and it looked like Lynn's call was going to go for a while. And I said, well, I guess it's going to be a minute. And so my wife, Heidi, said, well, I'm going to go sit down. And I said, okay, I'm going to hit the restroom. So I turned around and went through the restroom door and got in there and did my business. And then I was washing my hands, and something in the back of my mind went, it's kind of weird that there are no urinals in this bathroom. That's strange. And I dry my hands and turn around. And as I'm walking out the door, a lady walks in the door and looks at me, and she goes, oh, hi. And I went, hi. And so I walked out, and as soon as I walked out the door, Lynn walked up to me and she goes, "I'm so sorry. I was on that call and I couldn't talk to you." And I was like, "No, it's fine." I said, "I was just in the women's restroom." she
I'm
goes,
just hanging out.
"I didn't
You
even."
know.
She goes, "I didn't even notice that you came out of that door." So I immediately walk over to Tony because I'm like, I gotta say something to Tony because and so I walk over to Tony and I said, "Tony, if you get the report of some strange guy hanging out in the women's bathroom."
I wouldn't be in a perv.
and he just gave me the funniest. Like he just looked at me and went, "Don't you read?" I said,
I've done that in Walmart.
Did you really?
And I heard a guy come in. I heard somebody come in and start to pee. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not in a stall. Wait a minute. So I sit there a minute, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna wait. And then they got left, and I'm like, how did I walk past those urinals and not see them? I had to
That's a
walk
Holly
right past the urinals to go.
That's a
I was
Holly
on a
moment.
mission. Never
So
paid attention.
I'm in good company then. That's okay.
Yeah, I would have been a shock. I wish now I would have just popped out of the stall and the guy would have been like,
But
what are you doing in here? But
the
that would have been
expression though
hilarious.
on Tony's face before
Yeah,
when he was asking me, do you read?
Oh my God, I was so embarrassed.
distracted.
Oh, I was looking around to make sure nobody see me because I'm in Walmart and I'm like,
And
I
then
was like,
because
oh my
I
God.
have to make things worse on my way out, it was pouring rain by the time the show ended, and so I packed up my cart and was trying to figure out how I could get to my car without getting everything rained on. And I see the lady that was coming out of coming into the bathroom.
No.
And so I said, I just wanted to tell you, I'm really sorry that I walked into the women's restroom by mistake. And she looked at me and she goes, "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." I outed myself to the wrong woman.
Oh my
Trying
God.
to apologize.
Oh my gosh, it was like layers.
day.
It just kept
It's
going.
layers and
Wow.
layers,
Yeah, it was red letter day for me.
You were having Holly moments. Yes.
definitely Holly moments. So you have the Bullitt County Authors Fair. I love that's a great event, and
We've done that.
it. Yep.
And then I'll be doing some craft shows later in the year, and of course always at From the Ground Up Books. I'm usually working at the LaGrange store on the weekend, so if you pop in on a Friday or a Saturday, you're pretty likely to get me.
Run into you.
Love talking books with folks there, and seeing people enjoying themselves, having tea and all of that. So it's a good gig.
Awesome. Yes, and I did tell Len. I said we need to get a bourbon dispenser in there too one day. Yeah, I don't think she jumped on that idea. Just
I was going to say we might never get rid of people if we did.
I'll be there.
They'll buy more. You loosen them up, they buy more.
There you go. It'd be easier to make my book pitch when they're a little
There you go.
Yeah.
They'll be like, all right, I'll just buy it.
Yeah, you'll sell a trilogy at a time. Yeah, then.
There you go.
But okay, yeah, because are you going to be at Tis the Season, the holiday show with Tony? Are you going to be doing that one?
I don't know if I've been invited to that one yet. I don't know when that goes out. I did it last year.
No, it's end of November, so I don't know what's going. I don't know who the lineup is.
I
know is we're actually sponsoring that now. We're sponsoring Tony's all three of his now. Imaginarium is. So
I saw that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping I'm definitely going to be at Imaginarium. I haven't gotten my expo table yet, but I'm planning to do that this week. I'm just waiting on a paycheck to clear, and I'll be in for sure.
Awesome. You're
hoping to bring a friend with me this year who has never experienced Imaginarium.
Yeah.
So
this is on a whole new level.
And you wait,
because
we have plans for the expo this year that it's going to be really cool.
We're leveling up.
Activities and events going on in the expo hall, and everything's concentrated there. So
that's great.
Yeah.
This was my first year being with the store, and so I got to sit at the table with Lynn and Eric, and it was really cool to just spend the Imaginarium with them and talk with them and stuff. It was a really, really different experience for me, but a lot of fun, to sit and talk. Lynn and I nerded out about stuff and got to know Eric a little better. It was good. It was good for sure.
Yeah. It's one thing I regret sometimes is that I don't get to sit and just spend the time I would like with everyone.
Well, I would like to go to all of my panels and workshops that I work so hard on, but I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
I do pop in for a few, whenever I can get in there. But yeah, because I love to support my workshop presenters too.
Yeah.
And as far as projecting publishing schedule for next stuff, what is on the dock for you as far as either works in progress or do you have some things set for release next year?
I don't have any release dates set, but I do have that Weird Western that I mentioned. That's hopefully coming next year, and then I've got a fun. It's really kind of a novella. I think it may be a little bit longer than novella, but I've got something that I think would be suited for you. So I want to get you on board something else because I think it would be a fun ride to put that together with you. So
that's good. That's good news. All right. So you do have some new material on the way. Good. And you couldn't get I mean, Nost is perfect because I mean he's got he has written and edited so extensively in speculative fiction, and now he's just tearing it up in the Western world. Yeah. So to have him on a Weird Western he might be the perfect guy to. I mean, you couldn't get better.
Well, he's definitely making me sharpen some things up because he's got a critical eye, and I appreciate that. I think it's really easy, especially when you're when you're self-published, or indie published, or small press. It's really easy to kind of settle in and get comfortable with how you do your thing. And I think it's great when somebody like Michael or somebody like you can push you a little bit, can nudge you a little bit into sharpening those skills and into making yourself a little bit better. And that's really the goal, right? That's why the AI stuff is a worry. It's not because I'm worried about it being a big boogeyman, but because I want to keep getting better. And, if somebody's doing the work for you, you can't get better, right?
Exactly.
No,
we all need to keep working on those skills and sharpening those skills. And so I appreciate good editors because that's what you guys do.
Yeah, you got to use the skills to hone them. I mean, definitely. I mean, and that is a concern. Yeah. If you rely too much on other things to do your work, then your skill set turns to mush.
Well, I rewrote those books before I ever sent them to you, and then after you sent me notes, I worked through the notes, and then there were still things that I was like, nope, I can say that better. So
you can fine tune a manuscript so that the cows come home 6 times. Yeah, I mean,
the eternal
it's
revision
never good
syndrome.
enough, right? It's never good enough, for the author.
What I call ERS, eternal revision syndrome. Yeah, all authors.
All
authors have it.
Oh, I could have done that better.
I definitely don't want to do that. Yeah, but I do appreciate having the opportunity to kind of work with somebody like you and really fine tune it to the point where this thing's humming now. And I think so far, at least with book 1, there's not been a whole lot of time since book 2 and 3 came out, but with book 1, I'm getting a lot of really good feedback, and people seem to really be enjoying it. So, and I think you play no small part in that, Stephen. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And yes, I have put it up before, and I am going to put it up again because we're getting so fancy now. But there's your website. But feel free to comment on any place that you would like people to connect with you.
Definitely the website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Don't do the TikTok thing. Haven't figured that out. Maybe I'm too old for TikTok. I don't know.
No. You would be great with your sense of humor. You would be great with TikTok. Yeah.
So we'll see. But I know we're working on some really fun stuff at the bookstore too. So there should be some fun stuff coming, and we're gonna try to make sure that everybody who works for Lynn gets kind of a little bit of a spotlight, so people get to know the team that's working there, and she's got such great people that I want to kind of shine a light on them too. So, so wherever you can find us, man, I just I love doing what I do, and I love having conversations about the work, and so I appreciate you giving me a minute to talk about the new stuff. And
absolutely,
I love any time I spend with you and Holly, but it's especially cool to talk about the work with you. So
fantastic. Yes. And for those of you listening on the audio version, that's jpatricklemarr.com. And that's jpatricklemarr.com.
Yep.
And that is the website address. Because, we do have, of course, the audio listeners as well to take care of. But aren't we getting fancy now?
Oh yeah,
even put up websites now.
and I try to keep the website updated with appearances and that kind of thing. So if I've got a signing or a craft show or anything that I'm doing, I try to make sure it's up
Put it there.
so that people can find
And hopefully,
Fantastic.
when you announce your Ed the Raven plushies, which are going to sell like hotcakes.
Oh, I gotta have
it.
one.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
yeah.
I tell you, I one of the things I do, and here's the reason people should come and find me at a show. I've started doing small print runs of short stories and novellas that are only available in paperback when you find me at a show. So they may be available as an ebook that you can get anywhere, but the only way to get a paperback of some of those things is to find me in person. And so hopefully that encourages people to find me and get some hard to find things. So
yes, like that sticker that you gave out. That was great.
That's on the Imaginarium guitar.
Yeah, that's on the Imaginarium guitar, by the way.
I appreciate that.
I found a home there.
That sure is.
Well, I will bid you a good night, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
And Holly, do you want to say any last words?
It's been a great guest, and don't be a stranger. You have to come back and tell us about your new adventures and things after Nasty gets a hold of the strange Western.
The weird Western, yeah. No, Nasty. He's in good hands there. We know that.
Yeah.
So you take care.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, love you guys. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Love you. Bye-bye. And everybody out there in listener land and visual land now, let us know how you like this. We're fine tuning. Let us know how you like the visual aspect. Yay, nay, more. How do you like it? The new platform. So we'd love to hear your feedback and remarks on YouTube, Facebook channels, and StreamYard. Let us know. And join us next Wednesday. Same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Another great guest, another great chat. Until then, be creative. Good night, all.